Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I thought we would do just a live stream and talk about things. Why am I hearing a repeat of what I'm saying? Hold, please. Uh huh. That's why. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm going to admit to you a few things I can't believe I'm going to admit. And then, of course, the phone lines are open if you want to call and vent. I know a lot of people have a lot of stuff on their mind. I have been struggling a little bit with sleep anyway. And the past few days have just been a freaking nightmare. And I'm sure you may feel the same way, which is weird. I know that I am in probably the least endangered demographic right now. I mean, I get it. Even though I'm an atheist activist, I think, well, I'm a cis white male. And so I'm not going to be the one as much in the crosshairs. But I do grieve about the potential, the possibilities of what is to come. And so, I'm able to drop off and then I wake up and my brain is like a spinning hard drive. Do you know what that's like? I bet you do. And I lay there and I get myself worked up and I worry and then I get up and then then I get mad that I can't sleep. And then I eat something and I'm like, I'm not eating because I'm hungry. I'm eating because I'm bored. Stop eating. And then I finish what I was eating. And then I try to go back to bed and I can't sleep. So I doom scroll. I go on social media. Terrible idea, especially in the middle of the night. You don't want to log on to the news sites. I've been in avoidance mode. I don't even go to the news. I don't want to know what the headlines are because I know what they're going to be for the next several years. Avoidance. Is it a healthy avoidance or is it not? Sleep has been a problem. I woke up this morning. I told Nat I just feel sad, just sad and angry and all those other things. So I had some friends, and again, I can't believe I'm admitting it's not a big deal to you, but it's kind of a big deal to me. And so they're like, here. And they gave me a gummy. And they're like, if you cannot sleep through the night, take that. I was like, no, they're like, seriously, just take that. Now, I don't even think this is legal. I mean, don't you have to have a license or something like that? They're like, here, take one. I mean, it's no big deal. But I I know I sound like a lamer, but I'm 56 something years old. I've never been drunk in my life. I really don't drink. I've never been high, never done drugs of any kind. And I kind of don't want to break the streak. That's stupid. Like, if you can't sleep, then help yourself sleep. What are you waiting for? You don't want to be at the end of your life and say you didn't do the gummies. Yeah, I mean, are there some things that you want to try before you leave the world? Yeah, but I don't want to break the streak. So I was looking at it last night. It was all wrapped up. It was sitting on the nightstand. Like, well, do I take it? I don't know if I want to take it. If you're not sure, you shouldn't take it. But come on, take it. Jesus Christ. Come on. What it's not cocaine. It's a gummy and you need the rest. No, but if you take it, you'll have broken the streak. 56 and a half years. I slept for about an hour and a half, woke up, got mad, went around the house, ate something that I wasn't hungry for, doom scrolled, and finally got about 2.5 hours before the morning came. And then I just woke up sad. And no, I didn't do the gummy. So I do literally have this weird thing that I'm like, well, I'm sitting on the nightstand right now. And what good is the streak? Do I just like being able to say that I've never done anything like that? I mean, I'm not getting drunk. Half a gummy. I don't know. I don't speak gummy. I don't speak gummy. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do feel like I could use an assist when it comes to trying to deal with what's going on all around me. And here's the next thing I'm going to admit to you. I think I talked about this with the cognitive dissonance guys. And it was a Tom who was speaking about how you think and how you feel and how they are often in conflict with each other. And when you're feeling something you know is irrational and even harmful, but you would never act on that feeling. It's that dark part of your heart that you often preserve, and sometimes you don't even tell people about. So it's weird that I'm telling you about it because there may be somebody who quote minds me or thinks the worst of me or calls me a hypocrite, but I just don't give a shit. So I'll tell you because I suspect you may feel the same way. Have you ever been in traffic and you're doing it right? You're spatially aware, you're doing at least around the speed limit, you're responsible, and somebody comes and they jack their car, a little hot rod in front of you, and they act like they own the road, endangering everybody around you. They're on their phone texting. You can see them through the window. They're just being a jerk, reckless. You ever fantasize about just taking your car and just right into their back quarter panel and just right off the shoulder into the river or into the trees. You don't want to kill them, but you want them to pay. Take that sweet little ride that you're so proud of, and you want everybody on the highway in all three or four lanes to notice. And I want you to have it totaled. I want you to pay for the endangering that you are doing, for thinking that you are the only driver on the road, potentially endangering, me, my passengers, children, people, school bus, I don't care what it is. And you, in that emotional part of your brain, you fantasize about just right into the guardrail and fuck that sports car up. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to need a tow truck? Oh, you're gonna have a hard time getting another ride? That's terrible. Bye-bye. In my heart, my emotional self, the sometimes irrational self, the uncivilized. Would that be the id? Would that qualify as id? Don't tell me you haven't thought this way. I know you have. I know you have. I used to have a boss. It was my first radio job ever. And I hadn't started the gig yet. It was my first radio job. I was going to be a radio disc jockey for a Christian station, and I was just a kid. I was so excited. And I remember the manager called about something, and I said on the phone, I said, "By the way, I learned in school how to do commercials. I learned how to do production. We call it production when you make commercials for clients." And I was just a young, eager, enthusiastic person who was desperate to try to just to help to be a radio guy. And on the phone, I remember he switched and he yelled at me and he said, "That production room is for this, 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 and this, and you have no business in there, and I don't ever want to see you in there. Do you hear me?" I mean, he just dressed me down on the phone. And I went sheet white, I'm sure. And I felt totally humiliated. And I said, "Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And I hung up the phone and it stuck with me. I've never forgotten it. And that began a long run of verbally abusive behavior toward everybody that worked for him. I hate to say this, but he suffered from, and I think this is a thing, he suffered from little man syndrome. He was a very, very, very short guy. And there were some people who they don't determine their strength and character by stature, right? And then there are some, like this man, I think, who spent their entire life compensating for their self consciousness about the fact that they weren't 6'3". And this guy compensated by not raising himself up, elevating himself in terms of who he was as a human being, but by tearing the hell out of everybody around him. And he did. Every time he came in, you could feel the temperature drop. We dreaded him. Is he in the building? Is he in the building? When's he supposed to go home? Does anybody know? Oh my God. It's a religious radio station, right? Everybody else was wonderful, but this guy, he was just awful, awful to people. And he would dress me down. Here's something, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Maybe it's just because I haven't slept and I don't give a shit. So we had a radio console in the main control room, right? You had your soundboard, and at the time there were these cart decks where you played commercials, and then CD players, and they were all on this desk. And you've seen what a radio studio looks like. Well, it was built for a seated announcer. It was built low, way down low, and down here near the bottom, that's where they kept the actual albums. And yes, we still played a few albums at the time, actual vinyl records. But because somebody apparently a few years ago with a chair had scuffed the wood on this desk, the boss decided from now on you can only stand. You are not allowed to sit when you do your radio show. I'm 6'1", and my first shifts were 12 hours long. And so what we were then required to do was you would sit in a chair in another part of the studio, and then you would have to get up, organize yourself, do your little thing, you know, and announce the song and the time and the weather and do whatever you're supposed to do and try to organize that. And then when you were done, you went back to the other part of the room and you had to sit down. And when you're working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., I mean, come on. And one time I just had enough and I pulled a chair up and I sat down right there. It was just like, oh God. Microphone was right here. The card deck and the CD players, everything was where this was how the thing was built. It's how it was designed. And I didn't hear him come into the building. He turns that corner and my heart sank down to my feet. And I thought, oh, what are you doing? I'm sorry, sir. It was such a long shift. I hope it's okay. I just for a few thought I wanted to pull a chair up. And he looked at me and he said, well, you can go work for somebody else if you want. I mean, he just dressed me down. It was just horrible. And every day was that way. And when he was not around, I would fantasize about something horrible happening to that guy. I didn't really want it to happen here. But here in the id or the uncivilized part, I thought, I wouldn't it be nice to say, not only will you never speak to me this way again, but you'll never speak to my coworkers, you'll never speak to your family, you will never speak to strangers, you will never speak in this way to anybody again. And then you take a baseball bat and you crack his fucking skull open, right? It's this totally uncivilized, this total primitive thing that you just think, "Ugh," to say everything you've ever wanted to say and then just end him, just because you were just stripped raw. You were just humiliated. And I've had some of those feelings post-election. Not about violence, but my brain and my heart are having an argument. And I'm fully aware that I'm being in some ways irrational. And here's what I mean by that. 72 million people just voted to enable a sociopath to essentially set fire to American democracy. I can't even imagine what the next several years are going to look like. I can't process it. I can barely log on to the world. There are a few people that I know who are associates, friends on my tennis team, etc., who have called about something else. I let the phone ring. I cannot speak to them. I'm so angry. Because even though I know in this area over here of their lives, they are genuinely good people, but they have the Trump box somewhere inside their skull. And for whatever rationalization they made, They check that box on the ballot. And they are one of those 72 million reasons that a sociopath, predator, con, man child is going to essentially wreck us. I can't even talk to him. I'm supposed to release a speech that I've been giving, and I still hold to this about how we change minds in this world. How do we change minds? We have to engage those, even awful people sometimes, to try to realize that people who perpetuate bad ideas are often victims of bad ideas. And I was one of those people. That's still true. I'm not sure I can release the speech because it feels tone deaf against the absolute heartbreak that I feel right now. How can I release a presentation that rightfully says that we have to use things like street epistemology and the Socratic method, and we have to try to get into the why? And yes, good people can do not good things. Some people can enable bad things because they're deluded or brainwashed. Beyond the bigots, beyond the haters, beyond the ones that fit the caricature. I mean, everybody else. The people who have rationalized that Trump is somehow God's man. The Lord sometimes uses flawed people to deliver the kingdom unto us. They believe it is a righteous cause. So they're operating supposedly for the noblest of reasons. I don't want to talk. I just can't pick up the phone to talk to them. There's a family event earlier this week celebrating somebody's birthday. I stayed home. I had nothing else to do. I had no excuse. I had no reason to go or not go. Rather, who wants to sit at the table and feel that sort of. We were at dinner last night. Somebody walked in with a t-shirt on and it just said Trump won. And he's exactly the kind of dude you would picture. Exactly the kind of guy that would wear a Trump won t-shirt. I would wager if I could sit him down for 3 minutes and quiz him about the founding fathers, the United States Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, God on the coins, God on the money, the rest of the world, he wouldn't know a goddamn thing about it. He would be really historically, constitutionally, culturally illiterate. Illiterate. And tens of millions of people just like him are the reason that in the coming years we may lose the Department of Education. People like RFK Jr., a wacky conspiracy theorist, may dismantle the FDA. Ryan Walters, the superintendent of public construction in my own state, has been running for office. All of the crazy headline grabbing shit that he has been doing for the past several years, he's been waving his arms in the air so that Trump will notice him. And now that Trump is elected, Ryan Walters wants a high position in the Trump administration, and he very well may get it. He's terrifying. He's the one who's been jamming the Ten Commandments into public school classrooms, which spurred an Oklahoma Supreme Court ruling. He's the one who mandated Bibles be in every classroom and that the Bible be taught. And I don't mean comparative religions, I mean taught, like truth, science, and history. I think of the poor people in Ukraine. If Trump abandons Zelensky and our allies in Ukraine, Putin just essentially just skates right in. He leaves NATO. We begin acting unilaterally because we just don't give a shit about the rest of the world. We're so myopic. America, 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 not realizing that what we are and what we do affects everybody. I worry about the white supremacists who think that Trump is one of them, and I think he is too. Who was the politician or the pundit? Somebody on television said, even if Donald Trump isn't a racist, the racists think he's a racist. That's the kind of person he is. And so then I go to that dark part of my heart and I think, okay, if you check that box for Trump, if you voted for this, if this is what you want, this is really what you want, then I hope it crashes down on you in the worst possible way, right? Oh, fine. You want to put an anti vax crank in charge of public safety? Okay, fine, fine. And when the measles or whatever comes for you, right? Whenever some horrible virus, a vaccine preventable virus, or a sickness that science would be needed to intervene on, when it comes for you or someone you love and it's not there, it'll be a consequence of the vote that you cast. You did it to yourself. And then I switch because I'm like, well, that's not fair to their children, right? Who didn't have a say in the matter. I don't want to see suffering in the world. But then I switch again and say, but I sure do want to see consequences. I want to see action and reaction. Fine. You want to say we're going to do whatever RFK Jr. wants to do, remove fluoride and use ivermectin for COVID or whatever else he is doing. You want to do that? Fine. You want to do that? If you want to see what that kind of world looks like, and you end up in the intensive care unit, I'm probably not going to be holding a vigil outside the door. That's how I feel. You want to give a temperamental, vengeful man child access to the United States military, potentially engaging us in who knows what, turning the National Guard or worse against United States citizens who dared to disagree. All right, fine. You want to see what that's like? Sooner or later, that's going to come for you, right? You're going to think something or say something, and there's going to be a point of perhaps disconnect. And then that militarized nation that's supposed to protect you within its borders will come for you or someone you care about. And you're going to see, right? You're going to fuck around and find out. And I kind of want that. I want these people who are going to thumb their nose at the climate scientists. I want them to experience in my emotional heart, right? Not in my logical brain, in my emotional heart, in my primal part. I want the hurricane to fuck up their stuff. I want to see fine. You want to see the consequences of not taking care, not being a steward of the world on which we live. And it comes back to bite you in the ass. It's not karma. That's action, reaction, cause, effect. And you pretty much had it coming. I want the people who have enabled what is about to happen to feel consequences for what is going to happen. I don't want them to remain in the privileged class where they wanted the public school system turned into a Christian church and then they got it. Yay, them. Or where they're a white heterosexual Christian family, so the whole game works in their favor. All the rules advantage them. I don't want that. I don't want them to sit back smugly and say, oh, good for us. We got a seat at the head of the table. Let's dole out the scraps to everybody else. I want to see somehow what's about to happen flip. I want to see some chaos and I want to see them receiving the scraps going, how the hell did this happen? And already in the chat, I can see someone's like, Seth's just butthurt because he lost. And these people aren't hearing me. I'm amazed and struck and a little bit amused because once Trump won so decisively, I had some people who were I think they're atheist or whatever. They gleefully came onto my social media pages just to gloat. That's what you get, you lefties, you libs. You thought you had the temperature of what was going on, and now you fucked around and found out. How's it feel, Mr. Woke? I thought about trying to explain how just because something is popular, it doesn't make it right. But then I realized I would be wasting my time and energy on someone who just came to gloat. Oh, the majority decided doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. It doesn't make the assault on democracy right. It doesn't make further stacking the Supreme Court right. It doesn't mean waging war on scientists right. It doesn't mean endangering children right. It doesn't mean any of that stuff is right. It just means it's popular. And because it's popular, or how do I say that? The fact that it's popular actually exposes one of the problems. One of the deeper root problems is that we are, as a nation, spoiled, rotten, and pretty much functionally illiterate. I know somebody right now in my associates circle, master's degree in college, works in the medical field, thinks the earth is flat. Refused to get the COVID vaccine because it was all a big conspiracy and the vaccine would and she got COVID. And you know what she did when she got COVID? She went to the fucking movies. She went to the movie theater, a closed space surrounded by other people, knowing she had COVID-19. Big into homeopathy. I don't want that regular Western medicine, that evil pharmaceutical medicine. I want an unregulated, debunked, pseudoscientific remedy. Master's degree in college, works in the medical field, voted for Trump. I don't think I could sit at the table with her right now. I just don't think I could stomach it. Do you feel that? I don't mean to go on and on. You know, the war on science has consequences. Disinformation campaigns from within and without. And yes, I'm including interference by Russia. They love the chaos. But I mean, the wellness industry, the conspiracy theorists, which are going after everything from, I don't know, the moon landing to everything. I mean, they are essentially priming a culture to believe the craziest, most wackadoodle shit. And then those people go out and we don't live in a shared reality. Well, if they aren't living in our shared reality, if they're off in Gumby land and then they start to make decisions about how they act and react, whether or not they sit next to me in a movie theater while they have COVID-19 endangering me and everybody else in the vicinity, whether or not they're going to indoctrinate their kids with anti-vax nonsense and then potentially harm them, sending them off to school where diseases exist. They're going to jam mythology. I mean, you're going to teach Noah's Ark as historical facts in public school history classes. You know, I said in a video that I just released, and I'm sorry to be rambling so long. Hopefully, maybe you can relate to some of what's coming out of my mouth. I said in a video that I just released that hit like 150,000 views in a day. So somebody was watching it. It was that sometimes I fantasize that what if we were to partition the country into two halves, and our half could celebrate the science, root ourselves on solid ground, see ourselves as not just a country of individuals, but a community of shared humanity. We'd be good stewards of the planet. We would vaccinate our children. We would embrace and teach the wonders of the science of evolution. We would reject the idea of the billionaire, the money hoarder, the oligarch who could buy an entire social media platform and single-handedly weaponize it against the rest of us. We wouldn't allow that to happen. Who was it who said, all right, fine. If you hit 999,999,999, we give you a plaque that says, "Congratulations, you won capitalism. We name a dog park after you, and then we take all of the extra money and we use it to feed the poor and fund cancer research and build homes for the homeless and develop a better society." Jesus Christ, how many thousands of millions of dollars does one person need? The society that I would like to live in would never allow for that because that society would be broken. Trickle down was always a myth. I would like to see people who are acting in antisocial ways, who are the agents of harm, to realize, even if at this moment they don't get it, right? It'll be like, don't touch the stove. Who was that comedian? It was Chris Porter. He had this joke with this kid, and he was like, "Don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove." And the kid wouldn't listen. And then finally he's like, "You know what? Fucking lick it." Right? Now you can't taste anything because you're stupid. There would be a consequence. Action, reaction. Only when the people feel some kind of pain will they change. Some of these people, only whenever there are consequences to what they do. I'm not talking about like us acting in illegal ways. I'm not talking about civil war. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about something that happens as a direct result of what they voted for, and it sort of splashes back on them, right? So they help to concoct the poison, and then all of a sudden the barrel of poison explodes and they get splashed with it. And they're like, oh shit, what have we done? That kind of thing. And that's the emotional side of me. And really been navigating that. Apparently, there are spammers and bots in the chat. Please accept my apology. I don't have I don't have a moderator. Let me see if I can do something real fast. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, I guess I need a moderator. I manage the channel almost completely by myself. I do have a few people who help me out. But this was a spontaneous live stream, so I must apologize to anybody. Well, I would block them, Adonai, but I'm trying to do a monologue and I can't multitask. If I had separately operating brains, if my brain was ambidextrous, I would be better at it. So I must apologize for being human. Okay. How long have I been talking? That's all I've got. I don't even know what we've accomplished. I don't know. I just thought maybe you could relate. Oh, thanks, Adonai. Sorry about it. Adonai. That's a religious term, as I understand it. I think that was one of the names for God. Adonai. It was actually a song by a group. What was the name of that group? Christian Quartet, a pop group in the 1990s that had a song called Adonai. Avalon was the name of the group. All these decades later, like a steel trap, baby. Let's take a look at who's on the switchboard and see if I've completely mucked up the attack on this, as I always do. Is it David out of the UK? Are you there? Let me make sure everybody in the chat can hear what I am hearing. Can everybody hear David on the switchboard? I just now made a few switches, so I just want to make sure. Dead air. Okay, hang on. Hold, please. Okay, can you say it again so everybody can
Okay.
hear?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. What I was saying is, I don't know if I'm being irrational or overly anxious. I'm from the United Kingdom, but I'm terrified Trump pulls out of NATO and Russia seeks revenge on the United Kingdom and that our country might be finished because we're not in a position to fight Russia on our own.
I think that's a very legitimate concern. I think the implications are terrifying. So,
I mean, I'm like, should I be making plans to flee to another country? I mean, I'm someone who makes close to minimum wage, not quite, and I can top up my money from online poker. I'm not. I know you wouldn't want to encourage gambling. I'm not claiming to be a genius in either category. I'm working my way for a statistics degree, and I'm not claiming to be a statistics genius, but I can say I have verified my results that I am profitable at online poker. And I'm like, should I just be doing everything I can to get my money together to just flee this country before it's too late? Is that irrational?
I don't know if it's irrational or not. I don't know if I'm being irrational whenever I think, where in the world would I like to live? I feel like I told somebody the first time Trump won, I went into battle mode. This time, I feel like I'm going to continue to battle. But again, in my emotional side, I feel like I'm going to have to find a chair and get some popcorn and essentially bear witness to the end of democracy in the West. So I fantasized about leaving as well. So all I know is that I feel what you're feeling, and I'm afraid as well, sir.
It's just terrifying. Like, there was a period in my life where I'm embarrassed to say the first time Trump was running, I was a pro-Trumper. And I know what caused it. I know what pushed me to be pro-Trump. And I kind of feel a responsibility to put out there what it is that caused me to be pro-Trump. And there's a number of things. First of all, there's been a lot of lies about Trump said, and I'm not saying he's a good person because he isn't, and I've got a lot of criticisms for him. But the media manipulate and lie about Trump a lot, and that makes Trump look like the guy who's telling the truth. And I know Trump tells a lot more lies on his side than what the media tell about him, but it's not helping our cause when people lie like that.
My friend, all I know is I'm terrified. I'm going to keep fighting, but the optimism I had not long ago, I don't feel it. I don't think it. I literally think I mentioned Gore Vidal and how he had talked about witnessing the decline of Western civilization. I don't think it's hyperbole. I think we may be the democracy, the American experiment may be imploding in on itself, and we will be a nation that died of stupidity and cruelty. Those would be the two main ingredients. So, but I do appreciate you and I feel you. And go ahead. Did you have something else, David?
Yeah, I think that I've been fearing for climate change and what it's going to do to our planet and whether our species is going to continue to exist. And when I look at the science behind, and I'm by no means a qualified scientist, but just looking at like the history of our planet and making a guess, which is you have lack so much information on, I think it looks like intelligent life is so incredibly rare in this universe. But then just how large the universe is, there has to be other cases of it. And then you think for how long the universe is going to exist after this, and then you think we're so utterly insignificant, does it really matter? And then I'm just reminded of this thing that I saw from a film. I don't know what film it is, but there's this character who's meant to be like this religious icon in the film. And he tells a parable of there's this girl walking along the beach and she sees a load of fish on the beach all being washed up and all dying. And this little girl is picking up the fish and throwing them back into the ocean one by one. And the guy says to this little girl, what are you doing? You can't save them all. You can't make a difference. And then the girl turns back to them and says, yes, but to that individual fish, it makes all the difference in the world. And I'm thinking, like, as bleak as things are and as dark as things are, we can still make a tiny difference, however insignificant, to try to at least make things better for the few people we can. I don't know. Does that sound stupid? Or
It does not at all. It sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but it's like we can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person. And the fact that it's a cliche doesn't mean that it's not true. And I think that's something. I'm glad you left us with that thought before we finish the call, David. All I know is that we'll be watching what happens and trying to react as best we can. In the meantime, be safe over there, okay?
yeah, my plan is just to try to do what I can to get as much money together as I can. And as soon as, if it happens, I hope it doesn't, but as soon as I see America pulling out of NATO, just flee this country. I don't know where to, but the Russian bear will seek revenge on the UK if it doesn't have America to protect it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, David. Thanks for calling. Thanks for your input.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you
Have
later.
a good one.
Yeah, you bet. I've had this thought, and it's a naive one, I'm sure. But when the tyrants go crazy, Putin, whatever, what would cause everybody around that tyrant to not shut it down? Like if, we know that so many of the Russian people think that the Ukraine war is just bullshit and they don't support it and they don't want it. And there have to be some people in Putin's government who feel the same. This is bullshit. We don't want it. This is one guy's, whatever. What would keep those people from removing the tyrant at the top of the pyramid? Is it the power that is bestowed? Are they afraid for their lives because the dictator has that much power? And I think to myself, at what point, where's the critical mass point where people say, this is crazy and we've had enough and you're gone? I don't know. It's almost a naive. I realize it sounds rather childlike why don't the people around the tyrant do something about the tyrant? Like I understand. But I do have that thought. I don't know. Maybe you have maybe you've got a thought on it. 405. Is it Sam calling in? Sam, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, a couple things, really. A lot of things. I mean, a lot of the stuff you were already talking about. Also, having to live in Oklahoma like you do. That's fun. But one of the things I've been recently thinking about is how let me start. Ryan Walters is a farce or a joke or whatever. He's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it was almost 20 years ago that I actually graduated high school here in Oklahoma, and we were ranked pretty high in education, as I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we were ranked 2 decades ago, but education in Oklahoma, I think we're in the 48. We're either 48 or 49. I think it depends on if you incorporate college. But I think if you take college out of it, if it's elementary and high school, I think we are just above Mississippi in terms of education ranking. So yeah, that's one of our claims to fame. I think we are down near 49. So yeah, I understand your frustration. What else did you have for me, Sam?
Well, it's become such a shit show in education in Oklahoma alone, let alone every other far red state, that I find it's so to sound crass or anything about it, it's a good thing I don't have any kids.
No, I don't think that's crass. I think a lot of people would be afraid to bring children up in a place where their rights would be fewer tomorrow than they would be today. I don't think that's crass. I think it's understandable.
Yeah, and one of the thing. Sorry, I have a problem talking.
You're fine.
Yeah. Now I could try and move, but I don't have any real resources to find a new job or purchase any kind of or get any kind of loan to go somewhere else, because I have nothing set up anywhere else. Everything I have is here, and honestly, I've just been in a really almost numb state for over a year since my mom passed. But yesterday I came to a decision. And because I'm stuck here, other people are going to be stuck here. I just need to help somebody. And because it's going to get worse, I got someone to help me figure out how I'm going to do this. But honestly, I think I'm going to go. Well, I'm going to go away from dogs.
You're fine. I've got one of the. Actually, I've got two. So
yeah. You're
going to go where?
I'm going to help I'm going to go help some kids that are just trans or queer, despite myself being, a cis white man. They need all the help they can get now.
Well, I think advocacy is the point, right? I mean, I don't think only LGBT people can stand with LGBT people. I don't think you have to put an asterisk there. And I think that's good medicine. I think that's, we're back to, you can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person, two people, five people. So I think that could be, we start where we are. I don't know really much of what else to do. I think I'll definitely be making some grand gestures, but I'll also, I think once my resentment begins to, if it does subside, begin to try to do more work here, 1-on-1, 2-on-2 on the ground. So I think that's good stuff. Sam, I got to move on, my friend, but it's nice to talk to a fellow Oklahoman. You be safe over there, okay?
Yeah, you too.
All right, we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, by the way, for the super chats. And I'll tell you why I'm specifically thanking for the super chats. I don't do a lot of live streams that just stay up. I'm not going to pull this and use it for the podcast. I think I'm just venting. I have not to get too far into the weeds, but as a producer, I use a company for music licensing, and I've had them for 15 years. And they are the reason that I'm able to have the show intro music, and then I'm able to use all the sort of next level production music for pieces like Something Beautiful and The Pale Blue Dot and The Story of You, and the background music for a lot of the sit down interviews that I've got. Producers pay for that, right? You pay for the right to use it. And the company that I use is it's just the best one that I've ever found. And that's why I've stuck with them for so long. And the contract was up for renewal, and there was an increase. And so at this moment, I'm at this precipice where I'm like, all right, and I'm still grandfathered in at a pretty good rate. But I'm like, do I let it expire and then and there are other resources. There's like Adobe Audio, and there's iStock Audio and Pond 5 Audio. And then there are some independents. And I've had people who are musicians say, let me provide the music. Trust me, it doesn't work that way. So I'm at this moment where I'm like, Jesus, we're talking about in the thousands of dollars. Do I bite the bullet, even though I really can't afford it, so I don't lose it? Because if I let it lapse, then I may have to come back in a year and then it's double the money. Do I renew and find a way to pay for it? Or do I roll the dice and then it may affect how much music I'm able to use for things like ghost stories, the annual podcast and all of the other things. I'd have to change the intro music to the show and the outro. I'd have to do a bunch of different, I'd have to essentially refit the channel. So what I am saying is that if you are doing a super chat, I that would, that helps me to perhaps go to the licensing company and to maintain that relationship so that I can maintain the quality of the productions that I will be doing into 2025. So, I mean, if there were honestly, if there were 200 people who gave $10, it would get me pretty close, and that would allow me not to have to wring my hands as to whether or not I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I wouldn't have to worry about it; it would be covered. But and again, thanks to everybody who's reached out and said, "Hey, we'd like to," I'm a musician. It just, trust me, I've had a lot of that kind of thing. I use hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of what they call laser drops or needle drops every single year, and there's simply no way that you could cover it. And if I was to do a needle drop or laser drop with some of these other services, they would actually add up to be in the thousands and thousands, and I might actually lose money. Anyway, super chats. Thank you. Sorry about that. I mean, I'm not proud. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I'm thankful for the resources I have, and I feel like I've got a leg up in it, right? I know I know how to produce things. Right? I know how to produce things. I'm a flawed producer, but I'm pretty. I think you have to know what you're pretty good at. I'm pretty good at production, right? And I want to make sure that the quality of this channel remains. Otherwise, why bother? Because there's a shit ton of other resources. When I first started, there weren't very many of us, and now we have so many great channels out there and so many people. A lot of them are younger people out there coming up, these new generation of producers and debaters and hosts and whatnot. And I'm not threatened by that. I think it's freaking amazing. I high five them. I think wonderful. But I'd like to still keep doing what I do as long as it serves you, and having the best quality of resources helps me to serve you. So anyway, the super chats, thank you so much. Let me look back here at 210. I don't see a name given. Hi, what is your name?
It's Clay.
Clay,
Texas.
What's going on, Clay?
How you doing, Seth?
I'm good. What's up?
I'm terrified just like everybody else. I just want to say that, I think a fatal flaw we made is we talk to all these people who, they're not Trumpers. They just think everything sucks, So we talk to them like they're stupid. But what we need to do is we need to talk to them like we're stupid, because they're like, hey, the price of eggs is super high, and these people are running the show, so it's their fault. And what do? We counter it with, well, here's a 1,500-word essay on why eggs cost so much, and let's go into the supply chain and the monopolies and all this. Instead, what we need to say is, we're going after Walmart because they're fucking us over.
Yeah.
That's a message that sells. But on a more, I'm sorry, but on a more cathartic note, I just want to say that yesterday, my daughter is 14 years old, and she kind of snapped at me and my wife a couple times yesterday, which she's 14, they do that, but it was in a way that was kind of unusual. And then I went into a room and I was like, hey, you can't talk to us like that. What's going on? And she's like, yeah, whatever, it's super passive aggressive. And she's like, look, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? I'm a girl. This is Texas. I'm absolutely screwed. I have no future. And just the whole world is going to fall apart. And, I could, in that moment, I'm like, my fort, and all her girlfriends are just as freaked out. And I can't believe we're living in America and this is happening, and I'm not going to lie. I cried with her too. Not hard, but I definitely cried. And I just, told her like, it's going to be okay. I don't know that I believe that, but I also told her I was scared, and because I am scared. And I think she's old enough to deserve to know that. But at the same time, know that she's 14. There's literally nothing she can do about it. But 4 years from now, she can vote. I do think there'll be elections 4 years from now. I think it's our last chance to really win. But on a positive note, not positive, not even hopeful, just not doomer. I believe what Trump is ushering in is the Fourth Reich, but because of he's already been in power once, we're not Germany 1933. We are Germany 1938. And we're closing in on the expected lifespan of a fascist government. So when shit really goes to shit like it's going to, I think by next Christmas, there's only going to be one side to blame. And there are good people who really just care that eggs were expensive. I think that's all I got.
Well, you said a lot of relevant stuff, and I think a lot of people feel what you're feeling. Go hug your baby girl and tell her that we got her back out there, okay?
Thank you, Seth.
All
I will
right.
definitely do that. And everybody, I just hope we get through it.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep on keeping on.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. I don't know. You see that Lincoln Project commercial? Like, you know what? I think I played it on the show a few earlier this year, where the cop pulls over the father and the daughter. The daughter had gotten pregnant or something, and so they were driving across state lines so that she could have the pregnancy terminated. And it was like 4 weeks or whatever. And because it was this sort of post-Trump era where the Project 2025 stuff is kicked in, and the Puritans have taken over and the evangelicals are running wild. There was a database. And so the cop was able to say, hey, I see that you are this far along in your pregnancy and that your home is here and that you're driving across state lines and that you have been, messaging about this and about that. And at first I thought, well, it feels like hyperbole. And then I thought, nope. No, it feels like if you had told me what was going to happen in 2016, between 2016 and 2020, I wouldn't have believed you. Monumentally naive. I mean, I was thought, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I've gotten to the point now where I will probably believe almost any horrible scenario that you tell me about. I'll be like, anything's possible. Anything's possible. And then let's say that Donald Trump, who is in, what is he, 78, the guy eats fucking fast food at every meal. He's one of the most unhealthy people. Let's say he grabs his heart and keels over in the next 16 months. Then we got Vance, who is much smoother, much slicker, who has been primed by the heritage folks, primed for Gilead, primed for the institution of essentially a male-dominated former democracy. And then I think, well, no, actually, my fears and that Lincoln Project commercial, they're not fantasy. I mean, they could actually happen. And so I don't know. There's not much you can bring to our attention that we would disbelieve at this point. Lori at 423, you've been so patient. Thanks for waiting. Are you there? Lori?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Now I can. Thanks for being there. What's going on?
Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. What's on your mind?
Okay. I'm just like everybody else, I'm so frustrated. I come from my personal point of view. 67. I'm on disability and on Medicare. And I'm going to try to get through this without losing my shit.
You're fine. Take your time.
Since Tuesday, I've been trying to think of how much longer can I go. And if it wasn't for my two dogs, I just want to outlive them. I got two beautiful puppies. They're seniors. They're 15 and 17 years old. And right now, if it wasn't for them, I don't know what I'd do. But they're keeping me alive. I seriously think about how I'm going to end it. I'm not saying this because I'm a drama queen or anything like that, but if they take away income. If they take away my insurance, I'm fucking dead anyway. You know?
Okay, I want to stop right here. Okay.
And I have nobody here. I live, even though my. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just follow my voice for just a second. Okay. In any scenario, no matter what happens out there in the world,
Okay.
all right, no matter what happens out there in the world, whatever the government does, whatever Ryan Walters does, whatever RFK Jr. does, whatever the Christian nationalists do, whatever Project 2025 or the Heritage Foundation, whatever Russia, Ukraine, whatever anybody anywhere else on this planet does, you have value. And I want you to, if you would, for just a moment, remind yourself, as I remind you, that no one else, no circumstance determines your worth. And that you need to remember that even if you are just important to me, and you are, and I know that you're important to members of this audience, and you are, this world needs you in it. And so I think the realization of that may help you take the next step, and then the step after that. And the step after that, I would like, and you don't have to do this, but I would like you to speak to somebody more qualified than I am, who can perhaps walk you through feelings of despair that would even make you consider taking your life. Because I don't think that is your answer. And it's not the answer that any of us want for you. And there are resources, there are secular resources. And if you want, you can message me privately, and I'm going to connect you with people, again, more qualified than me, that can help you navigate these feelings of absolute despair. But before you do that, before we go any further, know your value, know your worth. It doesn't matter what Trump and Trumpists do. You are valuable and worthy and important, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I wish I could talk to somebody, but even though my phone number says I'm from Tennessee,
That's okay.
a couple of years ago, I moved to West Virginia, in a very, very red area of a very, very red state. I can't even tell people I support Kamala Harris during campaigning, because I feared for my safety. Because these people are MAGA, they're crazy. You know, my whole conversation since Tuesday, all I've been saying is, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what. I mean, this is all I'm saying. You know, I know, in a way, I know I'm worth something, but I can't live on air. You know.
I hear you.
And I am disabled. I am 67. I have no friends here because I moved here a couple of years ago for a friendship, and that friendship decided to move to Illinois. So I have nobody I can even talk to. Not poor me, but yeah, in a way.
No.
But,
I mean, I think that's fine to acknowledge. It's not
I'm
self-pity.
just so frustrated. I can't believe we have stupid people in America.
Oh, I can. I mean, I know what you mean, but I look around and I think, again, I told Natalie, we as a democracy, we will die of cruel and we will die of stupid. And I don't know what the proportions will be, but I think our stupidity and our cruelty are going to be the end of us. And I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I'm sitting in the chair. I feel like I'm almost sitting at ground zero before they, set off Fat Man and Little Boy. I feel what you're feeling. Would you do me a favor? If I've got some people who, and you can speak to them anonymously or chat with them anonymously, but if you would send me a private message here at my email, seth@sethandrews.com, I will immediately provide that link and those resources in the hopes that you will use it and speak to somebody more qualified than me, who has more time and bandwidth than me, who can be more than me in this regard for you. And I think maybe they will encourage you in a meaningful way. Would that be okay?
That would be fine. I mean, because that's most of my. I mean, if I could just blow off at somebody, but I can't hear. probably set my house on fire.
No, I got you.
They're crazy people.
I got you. Send
So
me a
yeah,
message. Send
um,
me a message, and I'm going to connect you.
yeah, that would
Seth
be good.
at
I mean, we should need something
sethandrews.com.
like recovering from religion.
Yeah, I've got a few like that. I've got people. I know people. Okay, I'm going to take care
Okay,
of you.
we'll do that. I was
Okay.
going to say,
We
I wish there was something like recovering from Trump, like there is recovering from religion.
Well, it might be a good business
Okay,
model.
well, I feel better just talking.
I got you. Look, Natalie and I and Linus and Gracie and Kat are all reaching through, and we're
Yeah,
hugging you
there you
right
go.
now. We are all giving you the biggest squeeze in the world, and just let it out. Remember your value, right? And remember that you're not the only one aggrieved. We share in that, and we're not going to give up, even though we feel despair. What they want is for us to surrender. So we're going to take, and eventually, I think once I'm done grinding my teeth, I think I'm going to find more productive ways to perhaps channel this energy as we develop a plan to move forward. Because I know there are plans. The ACLU is developing plans. I know there are attorneys in place who are looking at ways to navigate through what's happening. American Atheists, Freedom from Religion Foundation, Americans United for Separation of Church and State, the Secular Coalition. These are well organized, well funded organizations with experts on the front lines who are developing strategies to move forward. And perhaps we can also follow their lead. Be encouraged. It ain't quite over yet. Okay, my friend?
Thank you so much for listening to me, and I will send you. I'll shoot you a message, an email, and
All right.
I'll just go from here.
Have your people email my people. I'll be in touch, okay?
I wish I had people.
I wish I had people.
I'll do that.
All right, Lori. Thanks for calling. We'll see you soon. We got a long delay on that call. Sorry. Thanks for your patience there. She's not the only one feeling that. Like, what happens if the world no longer becomes a safe place to navigate? What happens if the resources that I have somebody that I saw just 2 days ago who is in every other way a political conservative, but she hates Trump, right? And she voted for Kamala. But when Trump won, she went online and she said, "My husband has a chronic illness, a pre existing condition that insurance companies would not cover. He got coverage through the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. If Trump gets into office and is successful in eliminating Obamacare, my husband will no longer have access to the resources that are keeping him well and perhaps even keeping him alive." She was traumatized. So it's not hyperbole. And I know there's some people who've come into the comments section who were like, you lost the election, suck it up. These have real world consequences. And the fact that you would be so snarky and dismissive to the fact that people may lose, they may lose their livelihoods. We're going to see journalists on the bubble who may be attacked, be blacklisted, who may be threatened. Hell, we saw Dr. Peter Hotez, a virologist of how many decades on the front lines for public safety. And then RFK Jr. goes on the Joe Rogan podcast. And before you know it, Elon starts to pile on and some dude shows up at Dr. Hotez's doorstep. He gets death threats. Now, there are consequences to the stuff that's going on. The tone that is being set is one of violence. It is one of authoritarianism, totalitarianism. It is a dictatorship, a kind of monarchy, and it is going to be fueled by some of the most corrupt and ridiculously stupid people on the planet. Yes, there are reasons for us to feel traumatized and totally concerned. Alex, making a web call. Alex, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, let me know if you can hear me.
I can indeed, Alex. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
So I think I kind of just wanted to give some people a little bit of hope, I guess, or at least like motivate them. So I think the most common sentiment I'm hearing, and I felt the same way, is like when Kamala lost and all these people kind of went out and they had very good intentions, their heart was in the right place, and they genuinely thought that she was going to win. And there was a lot of like people such as like Alan Lickman who were suggesting that his like 13 keys thing was going to predict that she was going to win. So like there was a lot of people that so people were very shocked when she didn't win. Um, and I immediately started seeing people that were just saying like, I give up, I'm done, like I'm never voting again, things like that. Like it's very, very, very common that I'm seeing. And that is just not the right way to go about it because I understand like I felt the same way, but like we have to stand up and fight against it because like these are people's rights that are being taken away. And you think about it, it's like when people say things like, I don't care anymore, it's like you do care because the reason that you're so upset, the reason that you're so sad and you're having this such an emotional reaction is because you care. So I think that a lot of people need to understand that, and they need to, take a break if you need to. I know everybody's sick of hearing this guy, and I mean, I was listening to, Tim Walz, and at the end of his like campaigns, he kept saying like, "Isn't it going to be nice when we never have to see this guy ever again on TV?" And like, so yeah, people are tired of seeing this guy, and we don't want to go through 4 years of him again. But I think that the difference between the right is that when they lose, again, they did this insurrection thing, and obviously that's a ridiculously terrible thing, but they didn't just say, oh, let's just give up, let's give up, I'm going to end my life, I'm moving out of the country, and all this. These people, they banded together, they formed a bunch of organizations, they funded a bunch of things, and they went out and they tried to, change things, even if they were changing things in the wrong direction, obviously, but that's what they did. So we need to do something somewhere. We can't just give up. And it makes me really scared to see that all these really good people, these people who do care about facts, they're not living in an alternate reality. They have such good intentions. They care about democracy. They care about women's rights. They care about human rights. They care about like Ukraine. And they're just saying, oh, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to leave the country. And you have to understand, first of all, every other country has their own problems, okay? I'm from Canada. We have somebody named Pierre Poilievre. He has similar policies to Trump. He's coming up. He's almost guaranteed to win. France is going in a similar direction. Germany is going in a similar direction. And also, now that Trump has won, it's like, you don't think that other, like, basically people have understood that they can win with this whole denying reality and just repeating facts and attacking migrants and attacking minorities and whatever. Like, it's not going to go away. You can't just move to another country and just like bury your head. So you have to have hope and you have to keep fighting. And so I just want people to know that because everybody is just saying, oh, I just give up. I'm never voting again. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I think you are the best medicine I've heard. I woke up this morning feeling did I admit it as much in the monologue? Maybe I did. I feel that way. I almost feel resigned. Resigned is the word. Like, how much more can we do? How much more can we fight? How many more days can I wake up and see this motherfucker on the front page of every website? I'm so tired of hearing his name. And you are a wonderful reminder that if we give up, people get hurt even worse. And they need us now more than ever. And that let's keep fighting. And I mean, I'd rather go down fighting than fold my arms and stomp off and say, screw it. So no, that's wisdom. That's wisdom, Alex. Hell, you should be hosting the show. You should have done the opening monologue. Maybe I should just call you next time and we'll let you take over. That's really good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But you're precious.
Can I say one more thing?
Please do.
I think the other thing that we need to realize, and I mean the reason that I'm like this is because I've been kind of like apolitical my entire life. Like, I mean, I obviously care about certain things, but I've kind of like had the faith that, okay, well, there's these two candidates that are running, but I know that they're going to uphold human rights. And I know that they're going to like not like throw us under the bus, and they're not going to end democracy. Like maybe their policies aren't the best, but like I have trust that if either one wins, it's going to be fairly okay. Like think of like Mitt Romney and stuff. Like I mean, Mitt Romney versus Obama. Like Mitt Romney was not going to end the entire democracy and like give it over to Russia and like end all human rights. Like, but I think that now I'm just like really motivated to figure out why this happened. And if you look at like I've kind of wondered for a long time like why these people are like this and why they believe like why they just believe Trump no matter what he says, and like they live in this alternate reality. It's a hard thing to try to figure out, but I think that like I'm trying to figure out myself, but I think that like it's a different upbringing. Like I think people on your channel and things like that, we have the understanding that we want evidence for something, right? Like if you're going to make a claim, we don't want to just believe your claim just because you repeat it without evidence. But these people are clearly different. They are like fact resistant. They don't care about facts, and it's like we have to figure out why that is. And I think like I was listening to Alan Lichtman the other day, who's like a professor on this, and he talked about like the way that Trump does it is and also Mark Cuban said this, like Trump basically operates out of fear. He knows he's a businessman. He's a brilliant salesman. So he can figure out what are you scared of and how do I make you even more scared of that? And he knows how to like deliver that message. And then I don't feel like the Democrats are like doing that as well. And it's like, even though Trump is lying and people are debunking him and things like that, it's like people aren't looking that up. Like, there's a thing on Reddit I just saw where I think they polled a bunch of people who voted for him, and they showed that like the inflation, for example, they have this feeling that the inflation is like super, super, super high, but it's actually like very low. Like over the last year, it's gone lower because it's like Biden and stuff. And but they're not like living in that reality. And so they have this perception. It's like, why do they have that perception? I think it's because Trump, what he does is he like watch him, he just repeats things over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, I think that if you repeat something over and over and over and over, and it's what people fear and it's what people want, they're just going to believe it because it's like he just keeps repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And people don't have the energy or the time to go and like research and look, oh, is this true? Let's look into the economy and let's look into this and how does this work? And is the vaccines actually, let's look into how virality works. Like people aren't going to do that. So I think that's part of the reason. And there's a whole, we need to look into this. And we can't just give up. We need to look into why do people believe this stuff? And then I think we need to like use it against them. I think we just need to like figure out, okay, this is the psychology of why these people are doing this. Let's just use it against them and to get our message across, like use the same strategy, but for the truth, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology about repetition and how the repetition of ideas, whatever they are, true or false, actually embed in people's brains, and then somehow what is false becomes true. It is nuanced, it's complicated. Now you got me wondering if I should go ahead and release my speech in a couple of weeks about why facts don't change minds. I'll pray and fast on it and seek the Lord and decide shortly, Alex. You speak wisdom today, and I had someone in the chat say that you have a very calming voice. So you're a calming, sort of centering Zen-like presence on the live stream today. So thanks for your contribution. Much appreciated.
All right. Thanks. See you later.
See you later. I had somebody, I saw a meme earlier and it said something like, don't forget to register today for your emotional support Canadian. I thought that was awesome. Do you need an emotional support Canadian? I was like, hell yeah, I want that. I would like an emotional support Canadian. Would you be, if you're in Canada, would you be my, just saying. Holy shnikes. I'm looking at I don't normally have time to read a lot of the super chats, but Tony gave essentially $20. Jared did $100 toward me being able to renew the music license. Thank you, man. That's massive. I love tofu. Gave $50 and another 50 to Punk Rock Parkinson's, which would be a great indie band name. Anyway, that's huge for me. It helps to alleviate the load. I don't do a lot of financial stuff, but I'll tell you, I've been a next in 2025 will be 10 years a full-time activist, and it was scary. It was scary when I left my other job as a video producer. I remember thinking, can this be done? And I've actually worked harder at this than I worked in pretty much every other job ever because first of all, when you do what you love and you love what you do, you're always doing it. Natalie told me that work-life balance is a problem for me because even then when I can't sleep and I wake up and 2 in the morning, my brain's spinning like a hard drive. I'm not just thinking about the shit that's going on in the world, but I'm thinking about the next project. And do we do a video? And what about live stream? And what if I release a video that says history we'll never forget? And then oh my God, I've got to get on a plane. I'm going to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I got to write a speech for Florida Free Thought. And before you know it, I'm losing my mind. And she just looks at me like, you have got to train your brain. You've got to partition. But I'm always doing that. Plus, when you're home, there is no 8 to 5 or whatever. You're always, honey, I've got to go up. Oh, we've got a live stream. In fact, I'm on Talk Heathen. I'll be hosting or co-hosting that on Sunday. And after the tennis match, I'm coming over here because I'm on the line. And then I'm going to be over doing this. And I've got to do, I just swear to you, it's hard. It's hard to partition my brain. But I've been able to do it full time for a little over 9 years, thanks to you, thanks to my podcast sponsors and the patrons are huge for me. And I'll tell you, here's a funny one on YouTube, and you may have noticed that, hell, it may even happen on this live stream. I'm sure it's the algorithm, but they're like prayers for Israel ads that run before my content. There was one for, what's that prayer app that you download? Hallow. Take a moment and pray with me. Download the Hallow app. They run ads on my podcast or on my YouTube streams, and people will email like, do you know this is going on? And I'm like, yes, thanks, Google. There's not a ton I can do about it. And I talked to No Illusions at Scathing Atheist about this, and they just love it. They're like, you knock yourself out. Okay, you pay me to fund an atheist channel so that people who have already realized your message is bullshit can skip the ad after a few seconds, and you make absolutely no dent whatsoever. And it partitions those ad dollars, those marketing dollars, away from people who might actually buy it. Like, please sign here and write your check out to imwastingmygoddamntime.com. I swear to you. So it used to bother me when I would hear religious ads. And now I look at it, I'm like, well, good luck with that, because I know this audience and they saw you coming last year. They saw you coming a mile away. Hallow.com is not going to do it for these people. And they get it and they just click right through it. And then a few pennies or whatever comes my way. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Hallow.com. Thanks for the money. Geez, look at all the calls. I don't have time to take them all. I'm a little bit overwhelmed here. Hang on. I've got, wow. Indulge me as I see a call from my hometown. It's Mark at 918. Mark, Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I'm stuck in Northwest Arkansas for the last 6 years, but I can't wait to get back to my people. We kind of ran in the same circles. You were my KXOJ DJ growing up, and
no way.
I was in a band in Tulsa called Admiral. Do you remember Admiral Twin, the band?
Admiral Twin? Yeah. I used to play them on the Gospel According to Music Part 2, I think, overnight or something. We played them, I think, after hours, because weren't you heavier? You were an edgier band, right?
We were more indie, kind of like the 77s and the Choir, or Undercover. lifesavers, the stuff you played after midnight.
Wow. Wow, man. You and I our paths have crossed after 30 years. That's wild. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Go ahead. I was just having a moment. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
It helped. You kind of gave me permission. When I saw you, I was like, oh no, him too. And I was like, wait a minute. But I've been on my deconversion journey since I was probably 11 years old. I just didn't realize it. But I'm curious. My question, I guess, you feel free to rein me in because I'm very autistic, ADHD, and OCD, so I can be all over the map. And I've been on the phone for an hour taking notes. So here's my question. I'm curious if some people just are intellectually unable to access ration and reason. Because I was an 11-year-old kid. I remember in Sunday school, I just gave my life to the Lord for the 300th time. I'm 11 years old, and they're saying, you got to get sanctified next and filled with the Holy Ghost. And I was like, okay, well, what's sanctified? And no one could tell me what it was. And that was like, those things started adding up. Nothing made sense to me. So I was kind of a questioning kid from the beginning. I remember going to Cornerstone and watching like Josh McDowell giving reasons for medical necessity abortions and rape and incest, and at the Cornerstone Festival tents. Our band played there like 3 years, and it was Cornerstone was an environment where you were able to question. It was a bunch of hippies and punk rock kids that were raised in evangelical churches that probably were restless like me and just realized they needed more. But I don't know. So I feel like I was kind of born and raised to be a questioning kid. Maybe that's part of my ADHD part. I just need to know stuff. I need to know how shit works. And so I need the facts to function. And I know that for 30 years, I probably was 30 years old before I even looked at a candidate on the ballot that wasn't red. It was so easy. My pastor would say, hey, we all need to vote for so-and-so. And I'd be like, oh, thank God I don't have to look at all that political crap. I did get stuck in the ditto head thing in the 90s for like 10 minutes. But, I realized I can even look at myself then and go, I was shutting off part of my brain. I was letting that ego part of my brain run crazy. And I think I'm in there right now. So pull me in. What do you think?
Are
people just...
Well, I think let me come past. Your deconstruction story is always interesting, but are there some people who simply aren't cognitively able to bust out? There are certainly cases of people who simply do not have, who don't have the tool set. But I think those people are largely a very small minority. What I don't want to be guilty of is the bigotry of lowered expectations. Some people need religion, or some people simply aren't going to be smart enough or intelligent enough to be able to bust out. I honestly think the vast majority of the people can be rescued from bad ideas, even if they are cognitively limited in some way. I would welcome the input of a neuroscientist.
Because we lose community. That's the thing. They still have community, and I think that's what keeps them all just like glued together. They have community, they have a leader, and they don't have to use their brains. Thank God I can use it for other things. No, that's the way I thought.
I should post even with the my speech on identity beliefs. I should go ahead and probably post it in a few weeks. So yeah, no, I think we get into the number of reasons why people hold on to an identity, and whether that's your Christian, evangelical, conservative, capitalist, Republican, or whatever, there are a lot of reasons that aren't data related, that are community and identity related, which is why when you and I go in and say this is a problem and here, and here, and they just shut down, freeze, get mad, or walk out, there are reasons for that. So you raise a really good point. When the speech goes out later this month, we can have a further discussion about it in the online community, I think. All right, Mark?
Yeah, I had a quick way to fix everything. Get somebody who's neutral, like Dick Van Dyke, who everyone loves, and let's make a news station that uses Dick Van Dyke's face and voice that just gives us graphs and charts 24 hours a day that keeps us up with what's going on. Somehow able to AI program to keep track of government. We have to report on our promises. So we have to report back where, you know, it holds you accountable to your lies in real time. If there's a way, because I know with my autistic brain, you can tell me shit all day, but then you can just show me a chart and I go, oh yeah, that's what you've been trying to tell me for an
That's
hour.
abstract. Let me chew
So,
on that one. Mark, you be safe. Thanks for calling. We'll see you later, okay?
Hey. See you later.
Dick Van Dyke, isn't he like 99 years old? I'm not sure what AI had to do with it. I do like the idea, and I think this should be, I think news stations should have a side screen at all times. And they should have a team of, let's call it 25 real-time fact checkers. So whenever, you know, somebody is interviewing Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, or whoever, and they're just spilling out the bullshit, it's just rolling. The fork tongue is in full swing. And as they speak, it's like, this is incorrect. Here's the date of this. This is what actually happened. Here's what Trump said. Here's what, you know, I just think there should be and we get to the point where we are conditioned as a culture to expect it. You will see the actual interview or the report or the claim. And over here, it's just real-time fact checking. And then there would be a way to source it, because without sources, all we're doing is sort of taking somebody else's word for it. So we'd need some vetting. We'd need to know that the fact checkers were qualified to do so, and there would need to be sources for those fact checks, and then they would be there. How would we do that? It would have to be a more interactive form of television, wouldn't it? I'm just saying. I want to say thank you out to Nathan for a super chat of $20. Lee for $10. You are greatly appreciated. All of these tiny gifts are going to kind of move toward me being able to do what I do and renew this production license for 2025. It really does matter. I've got Doug. Doug, thanks for calling. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. What's on your mind? Quickly, what's up?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say thank you for everything you do. I'm from Tulsa also.
Oh.
You and I and my oldest daughter had dinner one time. You helped us with to write a paper for her once. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Hang on just a second.
Awesome.
Hold on, Doug. Let's see. I think your daughter was working on a school project and you asked if I could provide input, and I think we met at a sushi restaurant. Am I remembering that right?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you remember.
No, that's amazing. No, it was on our. Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
No, I won't keep you long. I just wanted to say thanks. And real quick, I've been watching most of the video, but has the topic of abortion come up much so far today on the show? I didn't know if it had or not.
We talked a little bit about
it. My youngest daughter sent a little bit. And my youngest daughter is 22 now, and she sent me a meme or a video of TikTok of a 14, 15-year-old girl that walks into, I don't know if it's VHS or what, to try to like put in paperwork to adopt a child. And of course, the person behind the counter says, "Well, you can't adopt. You're too young to adopt." She's like, "But I can get pregnant and have a baby. Yeah, you can do that, but you can't adopt a child." And it was another amazing, thing that my daughters have brought forth to me to show me that, like, there's so much irony, and I just can't believe it. And it's just another example of it. And I wanted to throw that out there really quick too, but that's about it. I'm just like everyone else has called in. I'm in disbelief. Of course, you and I both know how it is to live in Northeast Oklahoma, and it's, I don't know where we go from here. I'm a retired federal employee myself, and everybody's worried, and it's not going to go well, I don't think. But like everyone has said, we just got to keep plugging along and keep trying. We can't give up.
I got a storm shelter. Maybe we'll just put some like really tiny furniture down there, and we'll just it'll be a freighty hole for the next 48 months. We'll see what happens. But hug your family for me. Say hi to your baby girl, and I hope she did well on her school project. Thanks for calling, Doug.
She did. Thank you, Seth. Have a good one.
Yeah, we'll see you. Yeah, that was interesting. I normally don't. I mean, I got this message that she was working on something and needed the input of, I was a secular person or a non-religious person for a report that she was doing. And so it's like this teenager interviewed me over sushi. And so it's funny. Yeah. And I remember because it was a real honor. It was like, oh, wow, I hope I don't screw this up or get you an F or, get you branded as a heathen by your homeschool or homeroom teacher, not homeschool, but your public school teacher. How long have we been going? Dear God, 1 hour and 36 minutes for an unplanned thing. We sure have gone a long time. I'm going to try to do one or two more. Are you good for time, everybody? Are you want to hang? You want to fellowship in the Lord? I've got Tyler at 636. Are you there?
Yeah, hey, Seth, thanks for taking the call.
You bet. What's up?
So first of all, I wanted to say that I agreed with what Alex was saying completely, as far as like we can't just resign and give up. As soon as the 6th, I joined a bunch of groups around here. I'm in Missouri, so I'm in a deep red state, and there's a lot going on. I think you were saying about fact checking and stuff. The problem is with fact checking, they think the fact checks are liberal biased and that sort of thing. I had a whole thing typed out here, but I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, what's the main gist of what's on your mind?
Well, I don't know how we get out of this media environment is my main problem. It seems, as other people have pointed out, other people are in just a completely different reality when it comes to facts and fact-based knowledge and things like that. I don't know. What I can tell you is I think it is very important right now to go out, talk to your neighbors, talk to people around you, make sure you build a community around you, because if stuff does go bad, you need to make sure the people around you are there to protect you. That's the biggest thing when authoritarians start shipping people off. It's a little harder to do when those people are organized. So I would say save money. If you smoke, quit smoking. If you drink, quit drinking. Save every bit of money you can, and hope for the best. Organize. Don't give up.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for calling. We'll catch you later.
Thanks, Seth.
But if someone gives you a free gummy, then apparently that would be a good way to cope, which takes me full circle back to the beginning. I've got a call from Denmark. I don't see a name. Can you tell me who this is?
Yeah. Hello, Seth. My name is Carsten.
Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just, in shock of what happened in the United States. I think we all are in some way. And I would say that you have Trump and we have some people like him in Denmark too. And it's just like a disease that is spreading. So I don't know where this is going. I feel like the West is going down the drain now.
Well, I was going to ask you for asylum, and you're telling me that you have a politician or a few politicians that are Trumpian in your part of the world? What's that about?
Yeah. Yes. Well, they are, well, it's completely the same bullshit. They say the same bullshit as Trump, and they spread fake news. The media is not trustworthy. The institutions is full of communists, and it's going on. It's just like never ending. They're not many, but they have a loud voice, and that's the problem. I think they have a loud voice.
In the United States, it has
And
been a decades-long effort. You know, these people are well-funded and well-organized, and so they've gone after the school boards, they've gone after local, regional, state, and national government offices. It is scary how
yeah,
organized they are. And, you know, we on the left, it's like herding cats. You know, sometimes we're just so scattered that we are now looking
yeah,
around, seeing the results of how terrifyingly organized they were. And we're thinking, well, all right, well, and that's probably part of our solution. We're going to have to coalesce in a way that helps to counter. I mean, we're
yeah,
all scattered to the wind. We're not going to accomplish, I think, what we need to accomplish.
yeah. But you also like it's been here in Denmark. It's been like homosexuality, trans people, even what's been shown on children's TV. You know, you have these idiots demonstrating and you know unfunded claims that if you are trans, you are a pedophile and all that kind of bullshit. It's so tiresome. It is so tiresome, you know. And we should be an educated country. And sometimes I feel like, where did we go wrong?
I wonder
And
the same thing.
also, I have
No, go ahead.
and also I have a few friends also like and I can see that one of them is just he's going all the way into the rabbit hole. This is really, really bad. It's like real Trump, and they spread fake news, and there is no fact checking, and the media is lying. That's all we hear. The media is lying. But I think in some way we have a better Supreme Court in Denmark because they are not politically elected. It's an independent body. So no politician can choose their judges in Denmark. And that, I think, is a great thing, because I think that's where America has gone wrong. And I think that someone has seen that opportunity to put the right judges in and make their agenda come true. And that's what is happening now. And I feel so sorry for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
So
And just know that many of us are
yeah,
as alarmed and grieved and worried and scared and pissed off as you are, and a lot of our allies around the world are. So I feel you, and I appreciate this call across from across the ocean. Be safe over there, okay?
yes, thank you, and you too.
We'll see
Have
you
a
later.
nice day.
All right, we'll see you.
Okay.
He brings up a really good point. The American media has failed us because the outrageous stuff that has been said and done, the second by second cognitive decline that we have been witnessing, you know, the non-answers, the word salad, the bizarre behavior. This should have been on the front page of every newspaper. It should have been on every news site. It should have been at the front of every broadcast news outlet, right? We are in danger. We are seeing someone who is losing their fucking mind. The rise of fascism, etc. The language should be, you should have said, well, maybe you did see some of the massaging of language that the New York Times and other outlets have been using to talk about Donald Trump. In a way, it was a de facto legitimization of illegitimate behavior, of terrifying behavior, of alarming behavior. Instead of waving red flags and sounding the alarm, it was more like, well, Trump did this and this and this today in a legitimate sounding headline, when it should have been something more accurate. Donald Trump spins into nonsensical word salad in front of the, I don't know, United Nations. You know, I think the media totally failed us. Our media is a broken thing. And I don't mean just Fox News, and we know Fox News is fucked up. Hell, I wrote a whole book called Confessions of a Former Fox News Christian, which dismantles that whole network, talks about right-wing radio leading to Fox News beginning in the 90s. We talk about Reagan and the fairness doctrine being knocked down and all these other precursors, and then the propaganda mill owned by Rupert Murdoch, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not just talking about Fox News, though. I'm talking about across the board, whether it was this propaganda over here, whether it was super left wing or everything in the middle. If you look at how the media has been reporting, their language has been de facto legitimization of an illegitimate guy, a guy who has no business being anywhere near the halls of power. And those should have been the headlines. They should have been banging that drum so loud that you couldn't hear anything else. And they should have been doing it 24/7 on the order of years. And instead, they talked about Donald Trump like he was just another politician. Our media failed us. They just failed us. I think I'm going to have to call it. I wish I had a better excuse for those who've been waiting. I guess it's a good excuse, but I have to walk the dogs before they pee in the house. I've already gone too long, and they're looking. I can tell that we've got a routine. I'm going to have to take them out, or else I'm going to be down there with the. We bought this stuff called, I think it's Eco 99, that cleans pet stains. That's actually pretty good, but I don't want to have to use it. So I need to take care of my little four-legged fuzzy children. And I want to thank you for sticking with me for almost 2 hours. Thank you for the donations and the super chats. If you would like to continue to help, I have a PayPal. You can find it at thethinkingatheist.com. And then I'm going to go and probably make that, depending on what comes in, try to make that happen. See if I can get that agreement made here this week. And I will release, I think I'm going to go ahead and release the speech on identity beliefs later in November. Shit, I can't think. My mind's mush. Just know you're not the only one who's monumentally frustrated. I feel you. I hear you. I see you. I get you. Let's get each other. Let's support each other. Let's try to not give up. It's easy to say. It sounds like a fucking fortune cookie, but I'm serious. What are we going to do? Roll over while these people dictate terms for the rest of us? No, we got to keep fighting. We got to figure out better strategies to fight. We got to make sure we are seen and heard. I want to make sure that everybody who voted for this nonsense realizes that what they are involved in will hurt people, and that in my heart of hearts, when nobody else is looking, I will be feeling, irrationally or not, that I would like to see it come back on them. I want to see them feel just a little bit, hell, a lot of the grief and the anxiety and the stress and the consequence, the social pain, if nothing else. Like, I want to see the effect. Right? We've seen the cause. I want to see the effect, and I want to see it in their lives, not in a way that harms their kids, not in a way that strips society, not in a way that's violent, but I just, in my heart of hearts, I'm going to continue. And I'll swear, if Donald Trump completely sets fire to the whole goddamn country, if the entire place ends up in flames, at the very least, I want them to see the evidence of what they have done. I want them to reap the whirlwind. I want them to understand that they were the ones who lit the flame, and that flame literally passed back over right on top of them. I don't think it's wrong to feel that way. I got to navigate these thoughts and feelings. I'll continue to do so as you continue to do so. You have been good medicine. Love you much. I'll see you soon.